y'all watch this and tell me if you remember being a part of this program back in school, because I watched this and
oh my God,
it
that
freaked
brings
me out.
To the theory that you were talking to me about, and I was like, oh my God, save it for the podcast. We got a bunch of emails about this.
We're talking about the program,
Yes.
yeah? Are you familiar with the program in schools?
Yes, it was that one?
Yes. It's like there's a bunch of different programs that have different names, but all of it was under the guise of the government is providing extra time to students that they think are more
Equipped to succeed.
Yeah.
Well, there was the weird, I remember, like, the weird tests.
Yes. So they used to test us in
Yeah.
the 90s, at least I remember being tested. They would do a bunch of weird tests. Sometimes they would even say that they were doing a hearing test
Yeah.
or an eye test. And because I don't want to be sued, I'm scared now.
Just a theory.
Just a theory that when you put on those, and by the way, like, I don't, can you still see like the hearing test? They take you to a portable that they like set
Yeah,
up.
it's like the trailer.
Yeah, so you go into the portable, you sit down at a place, there's cards up so you can't see the person sitting next to you, there's like no windows around. They say sit into this little tiny cubicle that we've made, and there's like a box. It almost looks like a 1980s like plastic briefcase that's like a box.
Yeah.
And they put it down and you put on these like old ass like headphones, and then a voice comes on, and it's like a man's voice from the 50s, and it says something like, all right, the voice you're about to hear is just in your right ear. Get ready for a hearing test made just for you.
You should be hearing my voice.
I remember this. I
They're
remember
saying
all of this.
This is not a hearing test. That is actually the beginning of a hypnosis.
What?
That is very famously used by a lot of people. So I'm
Just
gonna
keep
butcher all
watching,
of
it
this a
gets
little
worse.
bit, but when it came to the Cold War, that's like around that same time, this organization started, which was I think was called the National Defense Education Act, was created, which links education to national defense, which is weird. And they started funding programs for gifted children around that time. Like when I was in elementary school, it was the early 90s, and my friend Haley actually was in, I was in, which is a different thing, but it's because I didn't take the test seriously. But she doesn't remember much from the program at all. Because when I started, I was like, you were in, right? She goes, yeah. I go, where was it? She goes, you know, it was in like a small room off the library, I think, but like I don't really remember much about it. And that's the thing. Most kids don't remember very much about it.
I was in it.
What?
I think I was in it.
I was in it.
There was the hearing test.
Yeah.
There was a weird, like, flashcard test.
Yep.
Where it was like, you're predicting the
Yes.
Predicting the fucking card.
Okay, you might have been in, because this is something that all the kids remember. So they would do
And
a
they
bunch
gave
of,
me a nerd rope.
they all, everybody talks about.
And then you had the glasses. There was glasses that they had you put on.
Oh my God, you're like literally, my nipples are so hard right now. Do you also feel like you've had, like, do you have reoccurring dreams where you feel
I
like,
can't do this right now. Okay, keep going, keep going.
do you want me to leave you
No,
alone?
keep going.
Okay, do you have like reoccurring dreams where you feel like you're, like, to some degree they're predictive of the future, and then something happens that you,
All the fucking.
I have this too.
I
can
literally.
you see my
Then I've had all these weird moments, and then the next day I meet them, and this is crazy. Keep going.
Okay, so did they give you a tiny, like a weird little pink drink?
It tasted like bubble gum.
I thought that was to test my blood sugar.
No. So everybody literally, like, can you see my
Yeah, the nurse was like, yeah, we're gonna test your blood, and they had the,
pink drink?
yep, there it is. Oh my gosh.
Until something like this happens, and there's an exchange, and they're like, no, I remember this, and I remember the weird shapes, and they would show me these cards, and they'd want me to know what was on the next card before
Yeah.
I saw the card, so I was like predicting what was on the card, and they would put something in a box, and I'd have to know what was in the box, and they'd make me wear 3D glasses, like one.
I have never been more shook with a theory until today.
All of that, they believe, the theory says, is an educational program that's inspired by or directly linked to the MK Ultra program. And the MK Ultra program was when they were fucking around with mind control and psychedelic drugs and like the Men Who Talk to Ghosts shit. And also I would say Stranger Things, because all of this sounds a lot like what happened to Eleven. Everybody who's in the program, not everybody, but like most people I've spoken to don't remember a thing about it. They have all those things that you remember. They think that was the hearing and seeing tests in school.
And so what was their goal? What did
Their-
they want to prep these kids for?
They wanted to prep these kids to start learning how to, which you fucking later did in a video.
Yeah, he did.
Astral projection,
Yes, 100%.
astral projection and that thing that you did where he guessed Cheesecake Factory.
Remote viewing.
Remote viewing, yes. So all of the kids that they were
throw
from,
up.
yeah, and it's crazy because I was thinking about that on the way over here.
So stressed.
And so the point was because they were worried about all these things going on, like this was the educational defense system that they were putting together because kids have like a thinner veil and are more open and more suggestible. And the extension of this, where it becomes a little cuckoo nuts, is
Where it becomes.
well, so like honestly, like I'm with the theory to this point because I know that the government does weird stuff, and I know that they get like creative about things. Like there's a bunch of private companies that their sole existence is to be creative and come up with weird weapons, like different weapons development things. Like that's their sole function and purpose. So of course someone's gonna think like, oh, let's tap into the next generation. The step further is that they believe that these kids were specifically being taught how to communicate with aliens.
Oh my god!
And he's obsessed with aliens. I was too as a kid.
When I was really young and I saw 3 gray aliens outside of our bedroom window, I was in the top bunk, and it like scarred me for life, and Mom told me they were guardian angels, and I freaked the fuck
Oh my
out.
god, you have shared that on this podcast.
I'm gonna cry.
Wait, because
And I've seen stuff like that too, like all throughout my
a lot of
life.
the kids also like that's another one of the
How many
traits.
times have, not to make this about
And they
me,
say gray aliens.
but Spencer, how many times have I said, I think aliens are gonna contact me, we need to get together? I'm like, that's gonna happen, and we're gonna fucking film that.
That's so crazy.
I have chills
I'm
all over
gonna
my
throw up.
I'm
Yeah.
so stressed your cat had to come.
Do I need to leave you like the dress needs to leave us? I don't want to be around the aliens.
But yeah, so that's the thought. The thought is that they were teaching them how to astral project into like conference rooms with aliens.
Are the aliens gonna be nice?
Ask him. It seems like he knows.
Well, I'm just trying to decide if I can
I'm
be
like
around
so
for this.
obsessed weirdly into aliens.
Yeah.
This is so weird.
Well, and I asked another friend of mine because her husband was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I was abducted as a child." And I was like, I hit her up and I was like, "Yo, was your husband in the program too?" He wasn't. I wonder.
What if that's why you're so into this genre of thing? Conspiracy,
This is too
extraordinary.
much. This is the weirdest day of my life.
No, that's actually
Somebody-
making me pretty uncomfortable too.
Somebody in the last podcast left a comment that freaked me out, and it was like, does anybody else think Shane has a lot, like, too many weird, like, string theories? It's
I
like,
saw that comment.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
And then I was like, what is that? So I started Googling. It's like people who have these weird things that happen that are, like, orchestrated and weird.
You have so many. Even like just seeing me in a video on YouTube being like, I'm gonna marry him, or like you'll be like, just a lot of crazy coincidences with
fucking
random
thing.
people that come into your life.
This is all really weird. So now what? What happens to me?
I don't know.